Naruto and Sasuke are about to get the power of the Sage of Six Paths, both of them. I'm not gonna lie. This chapter just made my day. This shit was fucking hype as a motherfucker and so deep. This is gonna be a long review, people. Stay tuned. So a few of my predictions that I said in last week's review came to fruition. First of all, the obvious for the most part, that Sasuke indeed inherits the chakra of Indra, somewhat of the reincarnation of Indra, and also that Hashirama and Madara both are as well pretty much reincarnations of Ashura Indra. But it's not exactly reincarnation that they're down to the T, the same person, just in a different body, because as you can see, Hashirama and Madara are there on the battlefield, and it would be impossible for the soul to be in two different places. What it pretty much is, I'm guessing, is that it's the chakra, and the chakra is definitely a very pivotal point because there's a lot to go into with the chakra, which I'll explain in a bit, but we get a little bit more of a revelation, a little bit more insight into this reincarnation, so to speak, of how it goes from body to body, and it was originally them two, which it made a lot of sense, and it's been passed down in this whole cycle. Everything is really getting stringed together perfectly, where it's that the cycle continued because of Ashura and Indra, Hagoromo's children. And we finally got a little bit more clarification as to what Naruto meant back in the Kage Summit, where pretty much everyone was like, yo, why did he defeat Sasuke? He was weakened. And it was that pretty much he could sense Indra's power within Sasuke, or he could sense Indra's chakra and realize that Sasuke was more than meets the eye. He's not just some rogue shinobi. And of course it was, as well as him being his friend, a lot of different things going on, but that was pretty much what he sensed. And it kind of goes back to the beginning. Remember that speech that was said many different times, that lesson of pretty much when two great shinobi clash, they will be able to see what's within each other, and that's what it meant. They saw Indra and Ashura within each other. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Sasuke saw Ashura within Naruto when they clashed at the Kage Summit at the Team 7 reunion. And you know how a lot of people like to say, oh, that Senju DNA, that's why Madara's doing all these amazing things. We got a little bit more clarification as to why it's not necessarily the Senju DNA, but it's actually the chakra that resides from that DNA, and it makes a lot of sense because if you look at it, Yamato has that Senju DNA. Look, Yamato has the powers for the most part of Hashirama. He's not on the same level as him, but he has those same powers. Why isn't he considered this massive threat? And, you know, when he went up against Akatsuki, he really wasn't all that much. You know, he wasn't really this big deal, even though he has that Senju DNA. And it's not necessarily the DNA, but it's more so the chakra. And that's why when it mixes with an Uchiha, it's not just that the DNA, it's actually the chakra from the two children, Ashura and Indra. So these two chapters, last week's and this week's, definitely makes them a very prevalent, I guess, theme, and just overall a very prevalent thing to the story in general, because both of them are a huge point in everything that's gone on. It's pretty much them two fighting from generation to generation. In the stone monument that we've seen for a long time now, I believe it appeared starting in Shippuden, where pretty much it had these writings, but you can only read it completely if you unlock the power of the Rinnegan. That wasn't him trying to tell them how to find the power. That was basically a warning, don't do this. That was Hagoromo basically trying to stop these people from doing it, because we find out for the most part that Hagoromo is for the most part a pragmatic type of person. He is trying to stop everything with more of a sensibility towards the situation. He's just more of a good person overall. And I'm still going to hold on to my theory that Hagoromo's mother, Utsutsuki, is pretty much the Death Reaper, because we find out that she pretty much ruled over with power, and originally people were like, yeah, you know, she liberated everything, but then her power began to make people fear her, and that silhouette that we see in that one panel seriously looked like the Death Reaper. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she is indeed the Death Reaper of some sort. Maybe because people are saying, you know, the Death Reaper looks like a man. Well, maybe she's flat-chested. And it seems in a sense that you become obsessed with this power once you get not only the chakra from Ashura, but also Indra, a mixture, because that's what Madara pretty much for the most part is right now. We don't exactly have his ultimate goal, because he basically said, you know, Eternal Tsukiyomi, which I'm still on the fence if that's truly indeed what he ultimately seeks, because I still think that somewhere along the line, somewhere inside of him, Madara still has that good person in him that he was when him and Hashirama were boys and they were talking about changing the world. He's just going about it in a different way. I'm still going to hold on to that notion, because you see that even if you look at the Eternal Tsukuyomi, in a sense, that's him basically trying to find an absolute solution to the problem. So I still say that that good person is within him. But definitely the chakra of both of those children within him, because he put the Hashirama chakra, and I'm guessing that maybe really just nobody saved Madara that day at this point. It's starting to look like it was just basically him being able to implant that DNA within him is what made him survive, having basically the chakra of both of these children, Ashura and Indra, which I don't know why I'm calling them children because they were men, but you get what I mean. Pretty much it was the chakra of both of them, and he kind of messed up the flow in a way because he was originally supposed to die, and then, you know, it gets passed on, and they keep on fighting. But Madara, in a sense, him doing that and surviving is kind of pushing forward towards a better tomorrow without him even realizing it, because yes, him being an evil threat and him being an antagonist to the story is a problem, but nonetheless, ultimately, it's pushing Naruto to go where he's never gone. It pushed a lot of things into perspective, because just imagine the threat of Obito and the threat of Madara wasn't there in the story. The cycle of hatred would have continued in one way or another. So the fact that he is there and he's pushing Naruto and Sasuke into these different corners and having to basically face this threat, he inadvertently is pushing towards a better day. Now, the whole bit with the Eternal Tsukiyomi getting a little bit more info regarding what it's trying to do when it is active, and that basically like seals up people and puts them into the root and uses their chakra. It goes back into that whole thing where pretty much the tree was originally like this clan or whatever, and they were basically like, you know, with their chakra, and that's where the chakra originated from. So in a sense that it's basically like the tree trying to take back what it feels is theirs, and it's trying to get rid of humanity. So in a sense, if you look at it, it was kind of like when humanity was like taking from them, and now it wants to take back from humanity, and that's its ultimate goal, is to have people wrapped up. And I'm curious, does Madara realize that that's what Eternal Tsukiyomi is meant to do, is basically meant to wrap people up and put them in the stream, keep them alive, but keep sucking the chakra out of them, like basically like some candy or some gasoline of some sort? And I'm glad we got a little bit more of an importance focused on the Byakugan, because it feels as though for ages now the Byakugan hasn't been referenced. Everything has been always the Sharingan, EMS, all that good stuff, and the Rinnegan, but Byakugan was kind of like thrown to the back burner, like nobody cares. But we find out that the Sage's mother, she possessed not only Sharingan but Byakugan as well, so that's, I guess, where it would originate from, just like all these different eye techniques or whatever. And pretty much she didn't, it seems as though, possessed the Rinnegan, I guess, unless I'm misremembering or whatnot, but it seems as though it was Hagoromo that pretty much came up with the Rinnegan, and that's why his children got the split, and why basically neither one of them had Rinnegan, it was Hagoromo, and that's why when you combine the two, Ashura plus Indra equals Hagoromo and equals Rinnegan. But I'm just overall glad that at the very least we see, okay, a legendary shinobi like Utsutsuki, I believe that's her name, was able to have the Byakugan, and the Byakugan is something that she wielded around. So at the very least, it gets a little bit of attention, even though it hasn't had major spotlight in ages. And in a sense, I guess that also shows that a lot of these clans originate from the same person, because if the Byakugan was originally a clan thing, and also the Sharingan, then they're pretty much distant relatives. And I mean, I guess that was said in the beginning, but yeah, they all stem from this one person, and wherever it came from her, but nonetheless, it all started with her, all the clans pretty much, because she had Sharingan, she had Byakugan, they all were within her. So another tie-in that we get is that this is why they are distant relatives, because they all come from Utsutsuki. Now, going back to something that a lot of people have been very controversial about, some people hate it, some people don't mind it, some people just see it for what it is. Pretty much the whole thing with the child of prophecy stuff, that actually, it didn't come back in last week's chapter, the actual saying, the child of prophecy came back in this week's chapter, but it kind of seems as though a bit of a conflict in a way, because what Hagoromo said, basically the natural flow is for Indra to basically be like, you know, leadership, and Indra, like the world right now wants Indra to basically rule, a type of Indra, like, you know, that leadership where it's just absolute rule. The tail beasts are supposed to be just weapons, they're used as weapons, and is actually Naruto fighting against that in a way. So looking at the story for what it is right now, and the whole child of prophecy, it seems as though the child of prophecy thing is basically like, you know, some toad had a dream and he saw something in the future. Now, the future, seeing the future and destiny, again, I don't really even want to get into the whole destiny thing, because I made a whole topic of that. If you want to check it out, yeah, go check out the video, whatever. The theme of Naruto is ruined, that's the name of the title. But it seems as though the actual future was supposed to be, if anything, somebody similar to Madara or Sasuke being ruler, but if anything, Hagoromo is stepping in and saying, no, I want to change what destiny is. If you really look at it like that, it's, I guess, in a way, like, yeah, he's a child of prophecy that this frog had a dream or whatever, but the natural flow, based on what Hagoromo said, is that Indra or Madara or anybody of that nature is to rule, but he is fighting against what destiny is, to have Naruto pretty much come and change the world to a different light and have the Ashura overcome the Indra. So in a sense, it is still fighting destiny in a way, because he said the natural flow, Indra, but I push Ashura out there, but at the same time is also like not neglecting either of his children. So that's kind of more so the big theme at play, but him also being a parent as well, like, you know, I gotta stop neglecting one of my children. So ultimately, if you look at it, this chapter, while it still has the child of prophecy shit, it ultimately is going back to fighting against destiny. I don't want my son that, you know, kind of had this different outlook to be the future, even though it seems as though that's the way. But selfishly, I'm going to change that, and I'm going to change destiny. I'm going to fight against it. And it took me by surprise when we find out that not only Naruto, but Sasuke as well was seeing the Sage. And I guess that just kind of goes into both of them with their rivalry and them having Ashura and Indra. He actually was able to see Hagoromo, but we don't get to see what Sasuke said. Like, Naruto said, you know, I don't care. I might look like this Ashura guy, but at the end of the day, I'm a silly guy. I don't know anything, and I just want to protect my friends. But we don't really get to see what Sasuke really wants, and I'm guessing that it just kind of plays into the part of, because Kishimoto likes to leave it like Sasuke, once again, you know, is this blank canvas, and we don't really get to know exactly what is on his mind, and that's why I guess he left it vague like that. I would have liked a little bit more context as to what he told him, because we know that he was confused, and we know that he ultimately came to a decision that he basically wants to be Hokage, and he wants to do it in his way, in his fashion, and it's kind of like leaning towards the Indra thing, because he is Indra indeed. Seeing what Naruto wants and not seeing what Sasuke wants, it just makes you wonder, like, what did he tell him? Did he tell him, I want to absolutely rule, I want to change the shinobi world in my way, I want to restore my clan? What was his answer to Hagoromo? I would have liked to see that, but at the same time, it also leaves a little bit more mystique and a little bit more of a mystery for later events. If the story does continue into an arc where, like, Naruto and Sasuke do fight, it leaves the mystery open. It seems as though Naruto and Sasuke are going to basically get the Sage's powers. Now, I don't know how it's going to go. Are they going to look identical to Indra and Ashura? Are they going to just get the staff? Because it seems as though he's going to give them, like, each one half of the staff. Like, similar to how Obito, you know how when he sucked out some of that chakra from Madara to give to Naruto, how he had a different staff. At first, when he was the Sage, you know, the mock Sage or whatever, he had the real staff with the circle or whatever. Now that he sucked out the chakra, I'm guessing what it was is that he sucked out originally, like, the full chakra of the Sage, and he had the full staff. But since when he sucked some of it out of Madara right now, he only sucked out some of the bits where it's pretty much the other side of it, and I guess that was the Indra side, and it kind of makes sense because he's Uchiha, and it kind of falls along the lines of Madara, so he sucked out that half. But Naruto and Sasuke, I'm guessing they're going to both get that chakra, and when they come back, they're going to have a radical different design, and I don't know if this is going to play a part in a future Naruto versus Sasuke, with both of them having the Sage's powers, or this will be a temporary power-up for now, just so that they can stop Madara, which kind of seems weird in a way that they need this power because of what Guy is doing. But ultimately, it was a great setup for a final clash, and I'm guessing that this is really going to be the end once they appear on the battlefield with the Sage's powers, because after that is like they both have Sage's 6 paths power versus one Sage's 6 paths Madara, which, by the way, Madara getting fucking wrecked, and I love that shit. I'm glad that even though we took a time off, we took basically 2 chapters off from the Guy stuff, which I know a lot of people are frustrated, but at the end of the day, as long as it's good stuff, I don't see the reason to be upset. I mean, yeah, okay, you want to see, you know, your Guy Sensei throw down, whatnot, but it was going into very important stuff. I mean, look at how much stuff I had to talk about in this video, so it was relevant stuff nonetheless. So it wasn't cutting off Guy Sensei so we could talk about 10 buns for a second. It was real stuff, but nonetheless, we come back, and at least we got progression of seeing Madara wrecked. Like, you know, his horn is half broken, the thing that he had on his forehead, his hair is all riled up, he's clearly a mess, and Guy Sensei is damaged as well, and that was all due to only Evening Elephant or Night Elephant, whatever the hell translation you're reading, before you attack me. And it seems as though Guy is one step away from death at this point, because Night Elephant, I'm guessing, is one of the techniques to still keep him alive for someone, I'm guessing, because obviously he's still alive, and he's basically saying, I'm gonna have to go full force, I'm gonna have to end up using the next step, which is Night Moth. So pretty much he did Evening Elephant, which it makes more sense now, the order of things, because like if it was Evening Elephant, then it would be go to Night Moth. It kind of makes a little bit more sense advancing throughout the day or whatever, and Night Moth, I guess, would basically be the final part of it, because you go throughout a day, you have morning, noon, night, or whatever, so maybe that's why it's called like the different parts of the day. Nonetheless, it seems as though that'll be the ultimate technique to finish him off, but unfortunately, I just see it going down like this at this point. I see he's going to wreck the living shit out of Madara. Madara's going to survive, use some sort of healing technique, and probably for the most part, except maybe one small thing, Guy will have gone 8 gates for nothing, because at this point, why would Naruto and Sasuke need to arrive on this battlefield with Sage's 6 paths power if they're not going to do anything against Madara, if Guy's going to handle this completely? Why, don't get me wrong, I would love to see Guy finish this off. It's like Guy Sensei winning the battle, hell motherfucking yeah. They're getting this power for a reason, and they're going to show up, and Madara, like, because it would seem unfair if Ashura and Indra, they both have the power, the Sage's power pretty much, of each of them. They show up and they fight him, and he's already weakened or whatever, so it kind of feels a little bit lackluster. They got all this power, and they're fighting a Madara that's basically near death, so he's going to get healed up from this, which is unfortunate, and that's an assumption, it's not fact or whatever, but that's where I see it going, and either that, or it could be that they're coming back with this power, Madara's going to be defeated, and this will be the Naruto versus Sasuke, the end-all be-all between Ashura and Indra and the cycle of hatred. This is probably the longest chapter review I've ever done of Naruto, but there was just so much content to talk about, and I love it when there's a lot to talk about. That gives me so much substance and makes my review 10 times better, I feel. Now, the great with this chapter, we got a lot of progression with the Sage. It only took 2 chapters to pretty much get through everything. We got progression with not only Naruto, but Sasuke's revival as well, and it also set up major way for them to return with incredible power-ups, which, yeah, some people are going to call BS, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, it was explained clearly. It's chakra. It's not necessarily full reincarnation of the soul. It's chakra within the soul, and, it's weird. It's Naruto at the end of the day. It has its own set of rules and whatnot. I think the only thing that I would argue that is kind of like a little bit muddy in this one is kind of the whole thing where it's called a prophecy, and that was pretty much the future that the Toad saw, but then Hagoromo said that the flow was basically, the natural flow was for Indra, but the frog saw Naruto, so that's kind of a conflict of interest in a way, but overall, this chapter, I felt it was a great chapter. It just gave us so much content and so much to talk about, so definitely got to give this bad boy a 9.5 out of 10. The only problem I felt was that it seemed a little bit awkward with one saying that this was the future, one saying that that was the future, and I guess that's just at the end of the day that there's no pinpoint destiny, and Hagoromo's trying to fight what he feels could be destiny, and the Toad was seeing something that he feels. Let me know what you guys think. First of all, do you think that Guy Sensei is going to have any effect on Madara once they return to the battlefield, or he's going to be all healed up? Also, do you think that they're going to have one final clash with the Sage's powers, or this is going to be temporary until they have their final bout? What do you think about them getting the Sage's 6 paths power, in a sense, basically splitting it in half, so they are, in a sense, the return, truly, of Indra and Ashura with having one side of the staff, because it seems as though he's going to give them each one side of the staff, one having the circular part, and one having the end part. The overall thoughts of the chapter, again, so much content to cover. I can't believe I just talked this long about this chapter. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you're hype as fuck for not only Guy Sensei getting ready to go all out, and finish this off, because Madara's wrecked, but also Naruto and Sasuke returning with Sage's 6 paths power that's going to make their final bout 10 times better, and I can't fucking wait. I'm for that world, and as always, people, have an awesome day.